it truly does come down to the fact that if you're not growing, you're dying. I actually had one of my boys actually just tell me today. We were talking about a habit tracker that we have, like a conjoined habit tracker of me and like my closest friends. And I told him, I was like, I have these four like non-negotiables that I have, and I don't really have anything else like to add, because everything I do in my day-to-day life is kind of like a non-negotiable, and it's kind of like second nature for me to train twice a day, work as hard as I can, eat the right meals, try and leave a positive impact on the world in any way that I can every single day. And I don't know what response I was expecting from him, but the response he gave me was, that means you need to step it the fuck up and that your life's getting too easy. And that's the reason that I'm making this video, because I'm already sitting here with a decent physique, but it could be better. I'm making a decent amount of money every single month from multiple different ventures, but I could be making more. And I don't want it to sound like everything just revolves around like how you look and how much money you make, but that's honestly the world that we live in nowadays. And I honestly really want to rewrite the script of what it really means to not only be in insane shape, but also make stupid amounts of money at the exact same time. Because so many people, like I said before, including myself, used to think that in order to obtain a really good physique, you have to sacrifice how much money you make. And in order to make the amount of money that you want to make, you have to sacrifice the physique that you want, because of how much work you're going to have to put into your work. And I'm living proof of it right now. Like, obviously, I am still light years, in my opinion, away from my potential physically, my potential mentally, and my potential financially, as well as in my relationships and all the other aspects of my life. But specifically physically and financially are the two biggest things that I think a lot of guys of our generation really care about the most. And I really want to rewrite the script when it comes to making stupid amounts of money while being in the best shape of your life at the exact same time. And I'm going to document my journey on it. It's going to be on my Instagram stories that I post, like 10 to 15 of them a day. I drop some insane sauce on that, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, the link will be in the description. But also on here, I want to bring you guys a bit more inside of what goes on in my day-to-day life. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to make like day in the life vlogs and full day of eating shit. Like, I'll post some of that stuff on my Instagram stories, but when it comes to the YouTube, I really want to let you guys in on the mindset that I have and how I've been able to get to a point where it's 3 p.m. on a Monday and I can sit out here and vitamin D max while blue light maxing at the same time and really just like enjoy life to the fullest. Now, when I say enjoy, my definition of joy when it comes to my life is completely different than what it used to be. Because if you guys would have known me 3 years ago, joy in my life would have been doing drugs, playing video games, giving into lust, and basically having zero direction in my life. That was my version of joy. But now, my version of joy is waking up every single morning, training my dick and balls off, trying to leave a positive impact on the world in any way that I can, even if it's just one singular person, and then doing that by working as hard as I physically can, physically and mentally, every single day. Something that has also been really running through my brain is the fact that no one ever really won by following the rules. It's like we've been led to believe for so long that we have to play this game that we've all been told that we have to play. Like, we didn't ask to be here. We didn't ask to be given this life that we all live. And then within that, there's a set of rules that we're just expected to follow, for like no reason. And one thing that I've really been thinking about is the moment that my life started changing for the better was the moment that I stopped following all of these set rules that we're all just expected to follow, you know? Like one of them, for example, sleeping 8 hours a night. I grew up with the belief that you have to get 8 hours of sleep, you have to take breaks, everything is okay in moderation, and like you have to take time to relax and just chill in order to like avoid burnout. And when I did that, it resulted in nothing more than complacency, laziness, and sloth, to be honest. And for the past, I would say 8 to 12 months, I don't think I've slept 8 hours a night more than like 7 days. And I feel great. Like I've experimented with it multiple times over the course of the past 8 to 12 months, where I've gone on stretches where I sleep like 3 to 5 hours a night. And then I give myself like one night to get like 8 or 9 hours of sleep like I'm supposed to and like I'm told to. And I wake up in the morning and I feel the exact same. It's like, why am I supposed to follow this rule of sleeping 8 hours a night when if I sleep 3 to 5 hours a night, I still feel just as shitty when the alarm clock goes off than if I were to sleep 8 hours a night and the alarm clock goes off and I feel the exact same fucking way. The message behind it is to just do you, you know? Like, there's certain things in like this rule book that we've all been led to believe that just don't apply to you. Like, they don't apply to me and they don't apply to you because everybody is uniquely different. And we all try and play this game and follow these rules when in reality we're playing a game that we don't even want to play and we don't even understand, and then we follow these rules that we don't even think we should follow, but we follow them anyway just because it's what we're told that we're supposed to do. And another one is just opinions and beliefs from other people that we adopt as our own as a result of how we grew up. Because like I said before, I grew up in a household where I was told all these different things. When I adopted that mentality of the other people around me in my life, it resulted in me and the perception that I had of myself being the worst it's ever been. But now, when I've adopted my own game that I play and I've adopted my own set of rules, I now live a life on my own terms. That's why, like I said, I can sit out here at 3 p.m. on a Monday and record a video like this after I've already trained twice. I ate a really good meal of ground beef and cheese, which sounds boring to most people, but I absolutely love it. And that's another thing when it comes to food. Being in good shape doesn't mean you have to eat like a robot, you know? So, like, the bodybuilding culture has conditioned us to believe that in order to get in good shape, you have to eat some dry-ass chicken breast with plain-ass rice 5 times a day, and that's the only way to get in shape. But it's just not, you know? Like, you can eat to a certain degree whatever you want and still get the physique that you want. Now, within that realm, there's nuances to it. So, like, for me personally, I not only want to operate and optimize for the best physique that I possibly can build, but I also want to optimize for my brain being as sharp as humanly possible and having my brain cognition operating at the highest possible level 24 hours a day. Because in order to speak as well as I do, in order to record these videos, in order to do the mentally taxing work that I do on a day-to-day basis, my brain has to be sharp. So that means, yeah, it's calories in, calories out to a certain degree, but if my first meal of the day today would have been like Twinkies and Tootsie Rolls or some kind of candy, my brain would not be as sharp and I wouldn't feel as good as I feel right now. You understand? So, yeah, it's calories in, calories out to a certain degree, but like I said before, it's what game you want to play. I want to play the game of making stupid amounts of money while being in insane shape at the exact same time. For you, you might just want to make a shit ton of money and you don't really care about your physique. Or you don't care about how much money you make and you just want to be in insane shape. Whatever game you want to play, you have to tailor your life around that game and then build your subset of rules based around the game that you want to play. You understand? And to give you some context, where this all started was back in 2021 when I broke my foot. And when I broke my foot, the doctor that I went to told me that I wouldn't be able to walk for about 3 months. And to make it long story short, I was in the gym squatting 295 about 5 weeks, so a little over a month after I broke my foot, when I was told that I wasn't even supposed to walk until 3 months after I broke my foot. And I was playing full contact sports like 2 months after I broke my foot when I wasn't even supposed to be walking. And the reason is because of what I just said about not following the rules. I could have taken his opinion at face value and said, okay, you're right, I'm not going to walk without my boot. I'm not going to try and beat the recovery time by 2 or 3 months. I'm not going to try and, get back to where I was physically, because I was playing soccer at the time. I'm not going to try and get back as fast as I possibly can. I'm just going to accept his opinion at face value and take it and, just let life take its course. But when you just go with the flow and you just let life take its course, life has you by the balls and you're just going with the flow, like I said. And going with the flow has resulted, in my life personally, going with the flow has resulted in a life of degeneracy. When I was going with the flow, I was doing drugs, I was going out to parties, I was negatively affecting the relationship that I had and still have to this day. Thankfully, I'm grateful enough that she was willing to stick with me through that. But you have to go with your own flow instead of letting life take you down the current. And staying on the topic of like doctors and stuff like that, another thing when it comes to not following the rules is just not listening to all of these big corporations that tell you certain things. Like, when I first found out that the food pyramid was complete bullshit, and that the fact that they tell you that like 70 to 80% of your diet should be consisted of grains and like pasta and shit, and the top of the pyramid, which means like the stuff that you should be consuming the least, is like meat and eggs and stuff like that. When I figured out that shit was a lie, that was one of the biggest slaps in the face, because it felt like my entire life was a lie. And when I started eating against the grain, no pun intended, I received a lot of backlash. I went carnivore for a very long time, like full on straight carnivore. And the amount of backlash I got from people like my parents and some people online as well, like, they're like, oh, that's not healthy, your cholesterol is going to be insane, and all of these different things, and it's not healthy because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, who told you that that's unhealthy? The FDA, the food pyramid. And until you try it for yourself, you'll never actually know if that rule that you've been told to follow is actually true or not, until you've actually carried it out in your own life. Because like I said at the beginning, all of us are uniquely different in so many different ways. Like, yeah, we all go through similar experiences and we all face similar challenges, but all of us individually on the inside are wired completely different. Like some people have already clicked off the video because I said the main things that I'm optimizing for right now are my physique and making stupid amounts of money. To some people, that is like ludicrous and is something that they just don't really care about. And that's completely fine. I'm not speaking to those people. But if you're watching right now, obviously that's something that you're interested in, and that's why you're still watching this video. So coming back to the whole thing about food and doctors and stuff like that, Another thing is like caffeine consumption, because that's another thing that I'm scrutinized for a lot. I consume no less than like 500 to 600 milligrams of caffeine a day. I fast for the first like 6 to 8 hours of my day. All I do is just drink a bunch of coffee, consume a bunch of caffeine, consume a bunch of nicotine in the form of like nicotine pouches, nicotine gum, stuff like this, to just keep my brain sharp and to suppress my hunger so I can get as much work done at the beginning of the day as I possibly can while my brain's still sharp. Because like I said before, I'm optimizing for making a shit ton of money and building an insane physique. And to some people, not eating for the first 6 to 8 hours a day is ludicrous. Some people like to wake up and eat first thing in the morning. But one of the non-negotiables that I live by is that I have to earn my meals. I don't allow myself to eat unless I've done a training session. And some people just don't understand that. Some people will look at that and they'll be like, you're insane. Like, but if you think back to our ancestors and you think back to like the primal days, they didn't wake up and just have food readily accessible to them. They had to go out and earn it. They had to go out and hunt for it and gather and collect materials. And they didn't know where they were going to sleep that night. They didn't know if they were going to eat that day. And I think in many aspects of our life, people are hammering shit over there. Operating from the lens of how we lived in our primal days in many aspects of our life, I think can be very beneficial. Now, obviously, in terms of technology and things of this nature, some of it can't be very beneficial, but in the sense of earning your meals, in the sense of not going to sleep until the job is finished, those are two of the main pillars that I live my life by. The fact that I have to earn my meals, which means that I have to train in some way, shape, or form before I am allowed to eat. And then 2, earning my sleep, which means that I have to completely empty my tank, physically and mentally, before I'm allowed to sleep. I just realized I was flicking you guys off for a second. I apologize. But yeah, it's just like rewriting the script when it comes to these set of rules that we're supposed to live by. Like, in the fitness realm, everyone says that, you know, you're supposed to eat before you train, you're supposed to do this many sets, this many reps, you're supposed to train this bro split, this Arnold split, push-pull legs, upper lower, all these different things. Like, this is the best, this is the worst. I mean, it all works to a certain degree, but I'll say it again, I'll say it time and time again, it all comes back to what works best for you. The information that I give on fitness is what works best for me, and I give it to you for free because I can only speak on things that I have mastered and things that I have actually applied into my life and that have worked for me. And I tell you guys all the shit that doesn't work, and I tell you all of the things that do work, and I just let you take it as you will. I don't expect every single person to adopt my training mentality, my mindset, and all these different things. Now, do I wish they would? Yeah, because it's worked great for me up until this point, and I'm going to continue living my life in a way that I continuously improve in those areas of my life. But it's not going to work for everybody. That's the biggest thing I want you to understand. Everything that I do is not going to work for you. Sleeping 3 to 5 hours a night is not going to work for everybody, but it works for me. You know, consuming a shit ton of caffeine and fasting the majority of my day and only eating 1 to 2 meals a day some days is not going to work for everybody, but it works for me in the season of life that I'm in. Training fasted, when everyone says that you should consume X amount of calories and X amount of grams of protein and carbs and all this shit before you train in order to get the best results in your training, for a lot of people that works. But for me, what works for me right now is training fasted. That's another thing, because I, like I said before, am optimizing for getting in insane shape while also making a shit ton of money. So training fasted in the morning allows me to not get the training out of the way, but in a sense, yeah, it's like getting it out of the way, because then the rest of my day can be allocated towards moving the needle closer towards where I want to go in terms of business, in terms of making money in other ventures as well. I currently work full-time as a sales rep at a supplement store. So my brain has to be sharp for that, because I have to sell people and I have to generate sales and I have to sell memberships and things of this nature. So my brain has to be sharp 24/7. If I was eating 400, 500 grams of carbs and consuming 250 of those before I train, and then worrying about all these different things, my brain wouldn't be as sharp as it needs to be for all the other things that I have going on in my life. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I still want the best possible results of my training that I can get? Yes. But something that I found that works for me, that may or may not work for you, is if you're like me and you're optimizing for getting in insane shape and making stupid amounts of money, training fasted, it gives you this sense of like pursuit, this sense of like hunger behind it on an empty stomach. It's going back to like the primal ages that I talked about earlier, where it's like you're pushing your body to its limits on an empty stomach, and it almost like rewires your brain back to that primal state where it's like you're hunting for your food. That's why I love the concept of earning your meals so much, because I know that my first meal of the day will come after that training session where I've pushed my body to the absolute limit, and I know that a reward comes from that once I do that. And some days, if I feel like I didn't push myself as hard as I could, I won't eat after that training session. I don't care if it's not optimal for muscle growth. I don't care if it's not what all the science-based guys and all the literature says. If I feel like I didn't give everything that I could in that training session, I feel like I didn't earn my meal. So I won't eat my meal until I feel like I've earned it. And I'll then engage in some work for my business, or I'll go to work and try and sell to the best of my ability, so that when I get done with that, then it's a fucking bee. But I'll then engage in something mentally after I finish that training session to where I feel like I've earned that meal. And that's when I'll eat my first meal. And that's the lesson behind all this is, one, do you. I know there's so much information online nowadays telling you you have to do this, or you have to do that, or X is the best thing. Y, you can't do it because it's terrible, and this is the only way to do it. But I don't think about it like that. Granted, I will tell you on some of these videos that this is what you have to do, but understand that I'm saying that from the lens that this is what's worked best for me, and I just want you to try it for yourself to see if it's what works best for you. I apologize if this is all over the place. I didn't really have a plan or a script or anything for this video. I kind of just wanted to speak from the heart and get this off my chest, because it's something that's been running through my brain a lot the past couple of days. And then on top of that, like I said, one of my boys texted me and told me that, you know, my life was too easy and that I needed to step it up a bit. And I'm treating this video as a commitment to all of you watching that have made it up until this point, that I'm going to take shit to the next level. I'm going to test myself and see what I'm capable of physically, mentally, earning potential financially over the next however many months into the foreseeable future. And I'm going to test my limits. And you guys are going to see it in real time over the course of the next however many videos. You guys are going to see my mindset change. You guys are going to see my physique change in real time. You guys are going to hear me say how my progression has been financially in real time. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this new chapter of my life, because for those of you that don't know, I just graduated from college even though I'm 24 years old, I just graduated from college with my second degree, my master's degree, and honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to use it. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. The only reason I went back to college to get my master's for an extra 2 years and put myself in an extra $30,000 worth of debt is because I wanted to buy myself more time so I could actually figure out what I wanted to do, like truly. Because, not to go off on too big of a side tangent, but the whole concept of like having to know what you want to do for the next 40-50 years of your life at 18 years old, and then go into a major that you don't even know if you're going to like or not when you're so young and you're so vulnerable to evolving and changing your ways of thinking and your opinions on the world. The concept of like thinking that you have to have everything figured out at 18 years old is so fucked. It's insane to me. But that's a whole another topic for another one of these talks. I hope you guys enjoy these talks. If you guys enjoy these longer format kind of rant style videos where I kind of just go off on a particular topic that I'm currently experiencing in my life right now, if you guys enjoy this style, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stay tuned for some more shorter, condensed, more structured videos coming out in the near future on more things pertaining to more specifically like the physical aspect, the training aspect, the nutrition aspect of it. These are more like mindset and lifestyle type videos. So if you enjoyed that, let me know. And yeah, I love you boys, and I will see you in the next one.